The opposition is saying that the government is adrift. We're seeing the two candidates squabbling in the hallways. Nothing's being decided. You're a little bit fuzzy on when the budget's going to come out.
No, I'm not.
Is the government drifting?
Okay. I will tell you the date of the budget when the date is determined, like we've always done the previous year.
But you are
I've never been more focused on the budget. I've never worked so hard, so I'll let the opposition do their work, which is to oppose the government. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Bonne journée.
A little beleaguered sounding Éric Girard dealing with journalists. James Mennie of the Gazette. Hello.
Hi, and beleaguered. What a great word to use.
Adrift is pretty good too.
Yeah, well, they're awash actually, more than adrift. I mean, they're taking on water at a tremendous rate. And the fact is, you just heard Éric Girard, one of the perceived adults in the Legault cabinet, who's basically, you don't have to have seen that clip to watch him sort of like walking quickly backwards away from the scrum, because this is where they are. Yeah. They really don't have any answers to offer, or the answers they have, they simply make up. I mean, yesterday I was joking with Aaron because Jean-François Roberge, as Minister of Secularism, he had made this big deal about, with the extension of Bill 21, we're going to enhance it, and we're going to make sure we're not going to have any prayer in the streets. And someone said, well, what about, funeral processions? And the next day he goes, they're okay. In other words, it's like, I didn't check that on my list, but it's okay because he has a big wad of cocktail napkins in his pocket that he uses to write laws on.
Government on the fly.
Well, I'm telling you. But now, today, it was like, they did this big deal about, foreign workers coming in here. They're part of the Programme Expérience Québécois, which you worked here and you became part of the Experience Québécois, and that was supposed to not accelerate, if not necessarily fast track your route to residency. Well, no, they're scrapping that because, God forbid, they got to find something to you got to point the finger somehow at immigrants between now and Election Day, because that's the only trick pony that the CAQ has in their political repertoire. Although today he goes, those 6,000 or so healthcare workers, don't worry, with our new program, they'll be the next ones in. So, in other words, they are literally making it up as they go along. But you're talking about thousands of people's lives here that are being affected. And the CAQ, and this is something I'm surprised, maybe it was raised, I didn't hear it. I'm presuming last week you saw that report out from StatsCan saying that by 2050, Quebec will represent like a little over 18% of the population of Canada. And the reason the drop is so precipitous in Quebec is because of people like François Legault and company who keep saying, or indeed, let's be fair, Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon as well, immigration back, even though Quebecers have made it clear they're not having families.
They're not having babies, no.
They ain't having babies.
No, those numbers have been declining for decades.
Exactly, but how do we protect the culture? How do we protect the identity? How do we protect la nation? And the fact is, the nation has been shrinking for a couple of generations now. But that's why when you begin a con like this, when you begin a grift like this, when you begin this vaudeville of how I am, in Legault's case, I'm the guy who's going to save you. I'm going to build a little palisade around Quebec, and I'll protect you from all the Muslims and all the immigrants and all the English and all the bad things that are going to expect you. The fact of the matter is, you don't have to have a wall. The fact is, and he even admitted it. I remember he was doing a press conference a couple of years ago, I guess. And he even said, certainly in English, he says, the problem is Quebecers aren't having children. So this is the reality. So here we go again between now and October. The CAQ is metaphorically speaking, a dead man walking. But in the meantime, they are just, walking into walls like some kind of malfunctioning Roomba, and they just keep, leading everyone astray or keeping us guessing as to which way the government's going to go. Oh, by the way, we don't get to find out who's in charge until April, so that's going to make covering Quebec politics even more intriguing. All we really know for a fact, and that's a lesson we've learned from experience too, is very simply that things are not going to get better. They are going to get worse before maybe they get better in October. So in the meantime, as my friend and colleague Phil Otier of the Montreal Gazette, works up in the Quebec City Bureau for years, likes to say, brace for impact.
Well, it certainly seems they're rushing to get a bunch of bills passed before they lose their majority, obviously.
Well, but the thing is, they're also scrambling. Bill 2, I heard you talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
It's really, really swell, but when you think about it, it's a climb down. This is the exact opposite of what this government wanted. Every single thing that the doctor you're interviewing, that he raised, all the issues, these were problems, these were issues that were created by the Legault government, which up until recently was thumping its chest saying, we are going to be the government that brings, the medical profession back in line. We're going to bring these arrogant doctors back into line, and we're going to show them that, we're going to be in charge of how you get paid and so on and so forth. And doctors, as like many people in Quebec, say, I don't have the time for this garbage. And it was clear they were going to leave. It was clear they were going to take early retirement. It was clear they were going to go into the private sector because, at un moment donné, people just have had it with the absolute ridiculous spewing of threats and of fear-mongering and of the baiting of various sectors of society in order to make sure that little core 35 to 37% of Quebec voters who keep sending this incompetent government back into office remain scared witless in time for the next election. Doesn't look like it's going to work this time, though.
Yeah, although it's interesting, too, that they seem to have punted that ball into the future, the wage negotiation, which was the sticking point. But I want to stop you there because I do want to say at least they're not in charge, as far as I know, directly of filling potholes, which...
Well, but it's another example. This is like, on the one hand, yes, you can say, congratulations, Mayor Martinez-Ferrada. You've taken the initiative. You have used, frankly, a process that many would say, "Oh, that's terrible. We should be having a public call for tenders, and we should no. This is an emergency." She said, "This is not just a matter of people being inconvenient. This is a safety issue now." Because if you blow a tire, if you hit another car, you can have an accident. Mm-hmm. This is for real stuff, and they have basically chopped down the contracts so they can just be awarded just like that. No process of going for call for tenders because that's the urgency. This has got to have been done yesterday.
Yeah,
and it's also an indicator, though, that what has been going on thus far in the city has not been working because we've all. It's a joke if you cover.
It's brutal.
Cover Montreal.
Yeah, it's brutal.
I've always said, you and I could be doing the last show of Montreal Now because a meteorite is hurtling towards Earth. All the calls we would get would be, yeah, but what are you doing about the pothole? This has always been an issue. But it also scares me because I heard you talking earlier about the whole idea of rejigging all the bus routes and whatever to accommodate the REM. And as you quite rightly pointed out, it doesn't work that well, the REM. And I remember
Did I say that?
Yeah, I think you said rather harshly, yeah, like when it's running. But the thing is, we're laughing. These guys,
no, it's not funny.
We learn from our mistakes. They say, okay, where we're going to go, there will be no competition, there will be no repetition, blah, 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 blah. Unless, of course, their system collapses, as it usually does, because a butterfly fluttered its wings. And what happens? They put in shuttle buses. Guess where they're coming from? From the very routes that they're trying to kill right now. So you know what? Good luck with that. But this is another example of the kind of planning that has kept this city, as far as I'm concerned, a good 20 or 30 years behind the rest of the country when it comes to development, economic, social, cultural, you name it. We just don't get it, and we are just teetering under the weight of our own self-created bureaucracy and consultations over and over and over again. So we'll see what happens with the REM, but who knows? Maybe come the spring, we'll be saying, my gosh,
wow,
what a great job.
Yeah, they were fantastic. And look how the REM stops and then the buses take you away from the station.
And the buses take you away
with no potholes.
Streets that don't have potholes.
Exactly. We can dream, James. We can dream.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Come on.
I'm Dylan Playfair.
And I'm Tyler Smith.
We're putting loneliness in the penalty box by talking to some of our favorite athletes about the importance of friendship.
This is Bromance.
Bromance is brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers, proudly Canadian-owned and operated. Charm has been part of your love stories and bromances for over 50 years.
And you can find Bromance on the iHeartRadio network or wherever you get your podcasts.